Hey guys, welcome to another Hollow Point YouTube video. Today we're going to be going over kind of what happened in the market today, kind of what I'm looking for, and we're going to go from there. Okay, so today we finished above. Let me go ahead and pull up the SPX here. Okay, so we really again have gone nowhere. We really just range here, and basically I think a $25 range. We started out at about like 611 or so, I suppose, and I guess we went up to 621, then we came up to 664 or so, and then we kind of finished around here. So all we're doing right now is we're just ranging. A lot of key factors that are going to be influencing the market this week is we have the FOMC kind of meeting, kicks off tomorrow, but officially we should be getting some news on Wednesday. And then we also have earnings as well. Really big earnings tomorrow. We have UNH. It's already down about 10% after hours based on Trump's remarks with fixed rates for healthcare. And then we have obviously Meta, Tesla, Google, and so forth. So we really have a massive week here. If this is the week where we are going to break 7,000, this would really have to be the week. There really would be no reason to not break the week to the upside. Obviously, right, it's all going to come down to guidance. So going off of last week and kind of the last video that I put out there, I talked about how we're kind of in a range, and I really want us to stick with me right now. I don't want you guys to get sidetracked here. I want you guys to understand here, if we just go down to a 30-minute time frame here on SPX, and really any stock, any ticker, you really haven't gone anywhere. And it's really not a swingers market, it's more of a scalpers market. So I'll mark it off here on the chart here, right? So from basically the 6th of January, right, to right now, we've gone nowhere, right? And I'll just mark it off here. You're kind of like literally in a box, right? So if you're holding things overnight, they're usually not working out well. You really have to have seismic movement, and you have to have it fast and quick. So what does that tell you if you're kind of chopping, right? Maybe kind of look around the market and see what's going on here. So I tell a lot of people, you know, it's not hard to kind of figure out where you're going. You really have to look at and I'm sorry for all the notifications. I'm just getting a bunch of messages and different things on Discord right now. You really have to look around the market to see like what's kind of moving it here. And I think that, you know, when I tell traders that they're looking at the market, like try not to be so myopic here. So I'm not just trading like on a 1 minute time frame, right? What kind of time frames am I trading on? I'm going down from the 1 minute, right? So I can see structure clearly for me. Like what do we have here? You know, left, head, right, shoulder, drop down, okay? Form your inverse head and shoulders, left, head, right, rounded bottom, rip up here, right? So what I mean by that is just not being myopic here. So I can see structure here on the 1 minute time frame. What I can't see on the 1 minute time frame, I'm gonna look for the bigger clues here. I'm gonna go to the 30-minute time frame. What do we have for me here? Okay, do we have a left, we have a head, we have a right. Again, until SPX breaks 6986 here, it's a head and shoulders, right? So I think sometimes that's what people forget, and sometimes what people fight. There's no reason to go long. You're never gonna miss a move unless if you're rushing. If you're just patient. That's what I want to help people understand. You just need to be patient. When you're patient, you're able to play another day. When you're not patient, you're going to run into trouble. A patient trader knows that, right? If this is a head and shoulders here, just stick with me, guys. I'm just trying to do some education here before I get into things, right? You have a head and shoulders left, head, right, okay? Let's say that you came up here tomorrow, okay? That means that your head and shoulders is invalidated. That's it. So a disciplined trader is going to put their stop loss right here. The trade's done. That doesn't mean you're lost. That doesn't mean you're a loser. Doesn't mean you're a bad trader. That means you're a trader that sticks to their rules. The trader who's never going to be able to trade for the following days, who's going to always struggle thinking that the market's rigged, is the person who simply, right, tells themselves, hey, I think basically we might come up here, but we're going to come all the way back down here, right? So I'm just going to stay short. This trader is going to lose 100% of their position, right? Okay. And the trader that stopped themselves out right here, right, who's disciplined, is going to be able to hold for this position now, is going to be able to enter this position now for that short. This trader is going to miss 100% of the move because he lost 100% of their position. This trader is going to be able to capture 100% of the move because they exited, right, and they stuck to their rules. That's what this market is right now. You need to stick to your rules. If you don't stick to your rules, you're not going to be able to play another day. I really want to make that clear right now, okay? So if we just go over here to the NASDAQ here, we can kind of see what's going on here. We haven't gone anywhere too. These have been some of the easiest short trade setups here. We have broken out of our head and shoulders. So on my last video, I called it out. We had a head and shoulders. Let me try to locate it here on the 4 hour here. We had a falling 3, bearish reversal, and it looks like we have overcome that right now. So we had a falling 3 right here. This was the last video update that I talked about. Falling 3, down 1, 2, 3, down, bearish reversal. From your inverse head and shoulders, had your ascending triangle, you broke out of it, from another bull flag, you broke out of it, so now you're here. Right now, this is really a critical zone here. I would say that if you do not break this zone tomorrow and you just chop around, I mean, there's just a high likelihood, right, that you are just going to come back down and tumble, right? But then you could also argue, right, what did I mention at the beginning of the phone call? We have a lot of news happening this week. If you ever have a catalyst for just ripping up here in the market, it's going to be the FOMC, right? Depending on what they say, we do have a 97% chance that they're not going to cut rates, they're going to hold steady. We have the Japan carry unwind trade, and then we also have obviously earnings. So we have Meta, Google, Microsoft, right? To put things in perspective, right? If Microsoft, right, Apple, and Tesla, let's say that they all have amazing earnings, you know, they go up like, I don't know, 7% on earnings. I mean, that's kind of crazy, but let's say they all go up 7% on earnings. Probably going to see close to all-time highs, if not maybe all-time highs this week, right? Compared to also with, in conjunction, kind of the Fed news and everything's going well. In a perfect world, right? But right now, we know that, right? We're having trouble getting past this zone. So let me just clean these lines off again, okay? It's very clear right now, right? You cannot get past this zone. Every time you get past this zone, you wick down. Let me just clean off these wicks, okay? So I would say here, just kind of looking at it, we don't need to rush into any move here. You're not going to miss anything, right? If anything, you're protecting yourself, right? Right here, you drop down. You had a head and shoulders, okay? You had a head and shoulders here. You had a head and shoulders and a triple top here, okay? These are wicks. This is just a distribution pattern right here as well. Head and shoulders here, head and shoulders here, head and shoulders here. And I'm not sure what that is. I have to zoom in a little bit. Probably another head and shoulders here, but it's failed, right? So how many times are you going to fail, right? Kind of the same pattern that we got going on here. Ascending triangle, down, up, come up here, right here, form your little bull flag here, then just kind of drop down here. So what I'm looking for is really, I want to have a close here above 26,000. That's the first step. I don't want to close above 26,000, right, tomorrow, and then the next day we're back down like to 25,8, 974. Right, because so we can see here, if we just kind of go to the past historicals to look for context, right? So from December 5th to December 8th, that's how long you stayed up here, right? From December 10th to December 11th, or actually you dropped here on the 10th. But again, from December 10th, right, from let's say the 11th, you basically stayed up for like a day. And again, you dropped down not only on that day, but then the next following day, right? So every time you get to these key levels, you're consistently dropping here. So I really want to see a lot of follow through. And what a lot of people aren't missing here is on a lot of these stocks, you're on your neckline here. You can't miss it here, right? So if you go to a lot of these stocks, you're really in a 50-50 zone right here. Okay, a lot of these stocks have the same patterns, right? You have your inverse head and shoulders here on crowd, right? Here's your left, here's your head, here's your right. You're trying to form a bull flag right here to break out. But guess what? You're on your neckline. Go to Oracle. You're on your neckline. Same pattern. Do you guys see it? You can't unsee it when you see it. Left head, left shoulder of liquidity, head, right shoulder. Within these patterns, you have patterns, right? So I understand that you do have head and shoulders within these patterns. You also have bull flags within these patterns. You have a lot of bearishness within these patterns, but you also have, from a larger time frame perspective, bullishness. But again, you're on your neckline. Stick with me here, guys. MVO, right? I can go to any stock, any ticker right now and show you the same thing. Every pattern is the same. You have your head and shoulders within your inverse head and shoulders, triple bottom here, breakout, but it doesn't matter. You're still on your neckline here, okay? Triple bottom, breakout, all right? Go to HIMS, probably on your neckline. Yep, on your neckline, right? I can go to any stock, any ticker, you're gonna be on your neckline. Broadcom, on your neckline, okay? ASML, not in your neckline. You're at the peak right here, so not going to do that one. McDonald's, you broke out of your neckline. That's awesome, but again, kind of in your head and shoulders. Left head, you do have your double bottom. This isn't inverse. They don't have to be perfect, right? You broke out of here. Obviously, you're going to have to break this to have continuation. Pretty simple. JP Morgan, probably in your neckline. Yep, on your neckline. Okay. Go to, I don't even know what this is, SPY, on your neckline. Let's see here. I'm just going to go to every stock I can, right? On your neckline. Okay. Guys, just click on your stocks. It's really easy to identify. On your neckline, most likely here. Yep, on your neckline. Right, we can just go to the daily to see a lot better. On your neckline, right? NVIDIA, on your neckline up top, just like SPY. And you do have a head and shoulders. It doesn't have to be perfect. Left, head, right. You have formed a bull flag right here. It's hard to see. So again, if this is going to be a bull flag, we're going to see it break out. I would assume that this 177 was a stop loss hunt, but I do want to see NVIDIA here to the upside again. If you are going to have upside to the market, then you are going to want to see some of these big name movers actually move. Let's go to BlackRock, probably on your neckline. Yep, on your neckline. Okay. So how I like to trade, how I like to find some of my setups, right? How you can say, well, hey man, hey Hollow Point, how do you find some of your setups in the market? I'll show you how. So I'm not really a big fan of giving expected moves. It's more about, for me, I like to look at structure. So how I like to execute trades is I like to go to a chart and I just look. I'll go to any stock, any ticker. I'll take a look at it and say, what do we have going on here, okay? So for this right here, BlackRock, on a 5-minute time frame here, I am going to turn my wicks on here. I'm not really used to having them off. This isn't a trade I'm going to take. There's just really nothing going on here. Okay, I don't really see any structure for me to kind of enter that. So I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna go here to Adobe. Your neckline. The one thing I don't like about Adobe is obviously you have some news that came out about Apple in terms of they do have some competing software, I guess, that could hurt Adobe's overall business model here. So again, I'm not a fan of Adobe, even though you did have a double bottom here. You did form your inverse here, but I don't see enough, right? Form your inverse here. Flag of liquidity, bull flag, rip up, falling wedge, flag of liquidity, rip up here. I'm not so sure about this play and this setup here. I do know that you've been beat down quite a bit. I do know that there's quite a bit of room up, but I also know there's quite a bit of room down here, right? I do note again that sometimes investors, they try to catch falling knives, and it's like, why catch a falling knife on a stock that had some bad news? But because it's down like 50% from all-time highs, or 30% or 20%, why catch pennies on the dollar, right? When you can go to a stock that actually has value, right? So how do you find stocks that have value? That requires you to do your own research, right? So when I'm looking for stocks, when I'm looking for different things, I like to do my research, right? So if I'm going to go and say go to I'm going to go to like an Amazon, or if I'm going to go to Netflix. Netflix is a good example here. So what a lot of people miss is that they're wondering like why Netflix is down, and I think it's a good deal. I'm hearing Netflix at 90, Netflix to 100, this and that. And while it can come to $100, $90, I think what a lot of people miss is that, like, again, catch this, guys. You're on your neckline, right? See that? So what a lot of people miss is that, like, right, I encourage people, you need to listen to the conference calls. So one of the biggest things that I like to listen to is I just really care about how's their free cash flow doing. That's all you need to know. FCF, free cash flow. Is it up or is it down, right? And what's their guidance on it for the future? So what a lot of people miss in the conference call, why they were confused to why Netflix went down, was that they had lower guidance for free cash flow. No dividends, I believe. And also, they're not reinvesting the company. They're wanting to reinvest in Warner Bros., right? WBD or whatever it is. So why would you not want to invest in your own company? Why you focus on other companies besides yourself? And oh, by the way, your free cash flow is down. So if you're spending $100 billion, right? And I'm just making up numbers here, but if your company's spending $100 billion, and then let's say that your take home is like 110 or 120, right? But then this number drops down, but this number stays up, right? Why would I, as an institution, want to invest in this company, right? And you're also not investing in your own company. You're looking at other investments as well. So sometimes I tell people, really do hop on those conference calls. You're going to learn a lot. And kind of kicking this off to another stock like Micron, people were wondering like why Micron went up. Well, if people were paying attention, right, what did Micron say? their free cash flow increased, and they're also raising their prices by about 70%, right? So that's very attractive to an institution or a typical investor. My free cash flow is going to increase. We're going to increase production as well, and we're going to raise prices as well. So it's not just about beating numbers. You can beat, by, sometimes people say, oh, the estimates were 3 billion and we got 3.2 billion. That's not impressive. I don't think people understand that. That's not impressive. Cool. You beat by like 0.2 or whatever, 100 million. What's impressive about that number? Are you going to be able to do that next quarter? Are you going to be able to do that the quarter after the next quarter? And the list kind of goes on here. So understanding what stocks are good, what stocks you should pick, and why is really going to save you a lot of heartache. Playing earnings, right, is something I don't like to do. I like to listen to those conference calls and kind of go about it from there. I'm okay missing out on a insane leg up like an Oracle, right? Because I want to play safe. I want to understand what they're going to say on the conference call. I don't know what they've been doing for the past few months. That's a straight up gamble, okay? So we come over here to the market here, and obviously we had a pretty red day here. We have the Dixie down, we have Bitcoin kind of holding these key levels here. What's the best move that you should do as an investor? I tell people wait and see. I don't think you're going to miss anything if you're patient, but you're going to miss everything if you're not, right? I'm just taking a look here at my watch list here. There's really nothing that's attractive to me. Until I see the NASDAQ, the Qs, start to lead instead of the SPYs, I'm not convinced, and I'm not comfortable going long. It's kind of just as simple as that. Again, just take a look here. You've gone nowhere. So if all of a sudden we break out here, right, we're at 676. As soon as we break out of here at 637, does that mean I'm going to hop in? No. I want to wait to see what it's actually going to do. I can give you weekly expected move up here, and I can give you weekly expected move down here, right? But it comes down to two things. Are we going to go up or down? I'm not going to be able to give you a weekly expected move, guys, until the market opens, because I need to see structure, right? We can have a very bullish bull flag up here just to drop down, right? So I'm trying to figure out what other items or things I can talk about to kind of go over. It's kind of a short video. I apologize. I hope that what I'm providing is just a bit helpful here. I personally just don't think there's a lot that's going on. If you are new to the Discord, or if you are watching this channel, I do give out live calls every day. Let me just go here and kind of show you some of the things that I like to do here. So I like to give out a lot of calls here. This is my trade journal here. This is how I like to trade. I scalp. I always like to tell people, when you scalp, a lot of mistakes that traders make are they want like $10,000 returns. But if you take a look here at these scalps, right, I'm constantly going in, going out, going in, going out. A lot of people criticize that, and that's okay. That's how I like to trade. How I trade may not work for you, but if I am more kind of like features, when you scalp, the goal is to build a drawdown to increase your portfolio size, right? So if I'm holding for, say, $1,000, right, every single time, sometimes I'm not going to get that full amount. So like on a day like this, on the 20th, I scalped again and again and again and again and again, right? Because I had to. So if you go back over here to the charts, how can I not scalp when you're chopping, right? If you go back to SPX today, right? Let's take a look at SPX real quick. If you go down to like the 5-minute here, we were chopping all day. So we started off here on Monday right here, and we just chopped from here, from basically 9 o'clock in the morning, all the way to here, towards the end of the day. There's no money to be made when it's chopping. You're only able to truly make a lot of money here on your trend days. So that's how I like to trade. I like to trade smart. I like to scalp non-stop, because money can be made both ways. If I were to hold any of these calls here for the full amount of 405, my butt would have been puckered, okay? These are my trades. This is my year-to-date winning summary. All the calls, everything I have is live streamed. I candidly have not been live streaming here on Discord because I've been busy. These are some monster plays I've taken in the past. I don't like to play like that anymore. I like to really be responsible since people are following me. I like to really just, I like to trade as if it's my last dollar, not from a scarcity mindset, but more so from a mindset of like, what's my goal? My goal, right, is to make as much money as possible. But how can I do that if I'm, again, on a chart like this today, I'm not willing to take my profits up here, then when am I going to be able to take my profits? Sometimes I think as traders, we tell ourselves, hey, just to 5 more bucks. Then it drops like 30 bucks. Then it drops 60 bucks. And then you're like, oh, well, I just want to wait till it gets here. So then it gets there, then you still don't sell. Then it drops even harder. And it's a cycle of, we're going to keep telling ourselves, hey, I'm going to sell up here. I'm going to sell up here. And then before you know it, you've actually lost your entire position. Now you're down. You're actually negative. So you're up 500 bucks, but now you're actually negative here, right? So I find it more helpful as a trader to really understand what I'm looking at, understanding my goals. And my goal is to make money and survive the market every day. It's very hard. It's very volatile. We have a lot of geopolitical tensions, a lot of different things going on. We have a possible government shutdown going on. We have FOMC kind of rate cut decisions going on, even though they're set in stone. Nothing's ever set in stone. Everything is ever changing here. So we have a lot of important economic data this week. We have a lot of different factors. We have earnings. We have Japan. We have a lot of different worries. And again, it's all to say, right? Go to the stocks I was telling you about, even Robinhood probably, right? You're on your neckline. We're on a critical point here on almost every stock, every ticker. And I think that we need to plan accordingly. So without further ado, I really do hope this was an insightful video. I'm not really great at making some of these videos. I find it more helpful to talk through live action versus commentary. So if you guys have any pointers, if you guys are like, hey, I want you to talk about this, I want you to talk about that, that will help me help you and guide you to, I think, being one more successful as a trader, because then I can talk about those topics that you're curious about, but then it can also help me improve, like, how I'm, talking over time. One thing that I do like to go over that I like to start incorporating now is a trader's prayer. I think sometimes in the market we are so infatuated with money that we forget the end goal, right? I think some of us are Christians, we come from different religions, but I would encourage you to try this trader's prayer before market open and really hone in, almost meditate, block out the noise, have the phone turned off for a second, and really say this out loud, right? Father God, I come to you first before the market, before profit or loss. You are God, I am not. My life, my mind, and my work, and this day belongs to you. Lord Jesus Christ, I submit myself to you. From me, discipline and change my heart where it does not reflect yours. Let my identity be rooted in you alone, not money, success, or control. Holy Spirit, guide my thoughts and emotions. Give me clarity, patience, and self-control. Keep me from fear, greed, pride, and impulsiveness. Teach me to act with wisdom, discipline, and peace. Help me to trade with integrity, stewardship, remembering that all provisions come from you. If I gain, keep me humble. If I lose, keep me trusting. Let my actions today reflect love, love for you, love for others, and honesty before you. I surrender this session to you. Lead me, correct me, and shape me to become more like Christ. I place you first in all things. In Jesus' name, amen. I would encourage you guys to try reading this trader's prayer before market open, and I would encourage you all to really understand, like, why are we trading? We have all these different goals, all these different things. It doesn't matter what background you come from, but I think they should never forget where you come from, especially if we are religious, which I know most of us are in some way, shape, or form. I think it's important to not forget, like, what are we all doing this for? Sometimes I do candidly forget, like, why I am in the market, right? I think sometimes when life is not going right or well, we like to blame others and all these different things. But right, we have somebody obviously looking down at us saying, like, hey man, what about me? So when things go right, when we make the right call, right, do we give anybody recognition? No, it's, oh, I was right, right? But maybe shifting that focus to saying, wow, I'm blessed enough to have this knowledge and have the ability to make, good choices and good decisions, right? Where do those good decisions come from, right? So having the ability and maturity to say, hey, it wasn't all me when we were going up, and also having the ability to say, hey, maybe this was me when we were going down, right? We have free will, we have free choice. Like I said, the trader who doesn't stop right here is the only one to blame, right? This is discipline. This is being humble, right? This is surrendering yourself. Like, hey, I understand I have my end goal of $1 million. And just because I didn't get it today, doesn't mean I can get it tomorrow. I would like you guys, I'm going to encourage you guys to change your mindset make it more positive than negative, try to block out some of that noise. And I think that you guys would find more often than not and be amazed that things will pick up more quickly and be a lot less stressful than they may already be. I'll be live tomorrow. I have been trying to go live lately. I've been doing quite a bit here, so I've been just kind of tired. But I do get on for my Discord in the morning. I do get a lot of calls and lives. I would love if, again, like I said, if anybody can give me feedback, if there's certain things I should talk about, if you guys watch other stock videos, if there's just things that you find more helpful than maybe what I'm already saying, let me know. I'm more of kind of like, I don't think for me as a trader, I don't find most of the time news to be helpful, but I most definitely do provide it. I really like to look at the charts. I believe 100% that the charts are everything I need to know. And the case in point kind of is, you go back to SPX here, or you go back to NQ, right? You might have people say, oh, well, we had the Japan carry-on wine trade, so that's why we dropped. I would kind of disagree. I see a clear chart pattern that was forming before the move happened, right? And then also, right, I just think that the news and kind of the outside news accelerates it, all right? So I like to trade chart patterns. I like to look at the charts. News isn't going to tell me, right, that we're on our neckline. Only looking at the charts is going to tell me that. So, anyways, I hope you guys have a good day. It's about 1 o'clock my time. I'm going to catch you guys around 7, or I keep saying that. I'll catch you guys around like 8 o'clock. Market open tomorrow. Have a blessed day. And again, remember why you're trading. Remember your why. Remember your why, and do not deviate from that. Some of us are in tough situations, and it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I just think that we need to, and it's easier said than done, obviously, but I think we just need to remind ourselves, like, why are we trading? Like, what is our goal? And once we realize what our goals are, it might help us make better decisions. Hollow point out.